You will never see Dillon Danis at a UFC fight ever again.
After Dana White stunned the world by announcing a lifetime ban on Dillon Danis from the UFC, chaos was inevitable. What happened next shocked everyone. Danis responded by publicly calling out Dana in an extremely bold way. But that was just the beginning. When years of online provocations, cultural tensions, and personal grudges collide in one of the most high-energy arenas in combat sports, the result could be explosive. On November 15th, 2025, at Madison Square Garden in New York City, UFC 322 became the scene of such a moment. Originally set to celebrate elite MMA, headlined by Islam Makhachev defending his lightweight title against Jack Della Maddalena, the event instead became the stage for a chaotic brawl unlike anything seen outside the octagon. Picture this. 19,000 fans packed into MSG, buzzing with energy as the preliminary fights concluded. Bo Nickel had just secured a knockout, and the arena was shifting focus to the main card. The iconic opening riffs of Baba O'Reilly by The Who blasted through the speakers, signaling the start of what should have been an unforgettable fight night. But what no one expected was that the real fight would happen in the stands, not inside the cage. Journalist Ariel Helwani described the moment.
Beginning of the broadcast is the open. It's John Anik, Rogan, DC, and all of a sudden they're on the broadcast doing the open, and Rogan and DC are like backs turned to the cameras, and you're like, what is going on? And then very quickly, within seconds, like I'm starting to get texts from people, and within seconds, you're seeing every angle possible.
Dillon Danis, the polarizing Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert and notorious social media provocateur, had bought a ticket to UFC 322 as a spectator. He wasn't competing, cornering a fighter, or officially affiliated with anyone that night, at least on paper. But anyone familiar with Danis's history knew that his presence near fighters from Dagestan, especially Islam Makhachev and a legendary Khabib Nurmagomedov, was a spark waiting to ignite. Over the years, Danis had carefully built a provocative online persona, posting taunts that mocked Dagestani fighters' culture, heritage, and beliefs. He repeatedly targeted Makhachev and his team, posting challenges and inflammatory remarks designed to get a reaction. These weren't just typical promotional jabs. They were personal attacks intended to provoke. On this night, Danis made a critical decision. He left his assigned seat and positioned himself near the fighters' section by the octagon, close to Makhachev's corner team, including family members and training partners like Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin, and Magomed Zanyakov, also known as Jampur. The tension was palpable, like watching two electrical charges slowly arc toward each other, knowing the spark was inevitable.
Understanding was he bought a ticket, he was there as a fan, he was hanging out with Alex Pereira and Plinio Cruz, their friends, their training partners, they trained together. There's some pictures of them hanging out. He was there with, with some friends as well. There's a shot of him and GSP saying hello.
Eyewitnesses reported the atmosphere becoming increasingly tense as Danis exchanged stares and words with Makhachev's team. Verbal jabs escalated, body language grew aggressive, and then, in a moment captured on multiple fan phones and broadcast worldwide, the situation exploded.
You could see, some of the familiar faces. You could see the now very popular John Pork with the backwards hat, I do believe it is, Chanko, Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov too. I love this part here where he's like, yes, please hold my hat, and let's go. And it all pops off. Dillon was wearing a New York Yankees hat. Here's the one dude with the chair, and it gets taken away, and he just keeps going. Dillon is wearing a Yankees hat. He's wearing very big red shoes.
The heated exchange between Danis and Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov turned physical with shoves. Then Zanyakov stepped in, delivering the first punch from behind, catching Danis completely off guard. That single strike ignited a full-scale melee. Despite his elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu credentials, Danis was outnumbered and overwhelmed as more members of the Dagestani group joined the fight. Punches flew from all directions. Danis was pushed over barriers and into the crowd. Drinks and debris were hurled through the air.
Dillon's brother is in the mix as well, a friend or two as well, and it's just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the numbers are, 10 on 4, 15 on 4. but it could have gotten a lot worse. Shout out to Madison Square Garden security. I feel like they kept it as contained as possible.
Fan videos captured Danis losing a shoe and struggling against the numerical disadvantage. Over a dozen people became involved in the melee. Remarkably, no serious injuries occurred. It was more of a flurry of grapples and strikes than a prolonged assault, but the spectacle was undeniable. Security reacted quickly, though chaos reigned. UFC staff and New York Police Department officers rushed in to restore order. Videos show guards forming a human wall to separate the fighters as the crowd roared, and in some cases cheered.
Ported out of the venue. Here he is, the bad guy, getting flipped off, yelling to people. Ugly stuff. Ugly stuff.
He does look pretty cool there, though.
In that moment, he looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin, circa like 1999. There's another angle. I mean, everyone was saying.
As Danis was escorted through the arena tunnels, he defiantly flipped off jeering fans, a gesture that only amplified the viral nature of the incident. The image of Danis, missing a shoe and flanked by security, standing defiant even in defeat, quickly became a meme, symbolizing how spectacularly the night had gone wrong for him. The main card was delayed about 10 to 15 minutes due to the disruption, but the event remarkably continued without further incidents. Makhachev's team, including those involved in the confrontation, were reportedly asked to watch the remaining fights from their hotel rooms. A bitter twist, as Makhachev would later dominate the main event, successfully defending his lightweight title. While the fighters refocused on their sport, the fallout from the brawl was just beginning. UFC President Dana White would soon face the media to explain how such chaos occurred under his watch and what consequences would follow.
I blame myself for that, actually. They came back and told me right before I walked out for the main card that Dillon Danis was here and he was moving around, sitting in fighter seats and not sitting in his own seat that he had. He had a ticket. And they said, do you want us to throw him out of here? And I said, he has a ticket? And I said, yeah. And, they told me, they said, Masvidal said he's going to up on site. And I said, well, where's Masvidal sitting? He said, well, he's 6 or 7 rows away from Masvidal. I said, well, if the guy has a ticket, let him sit in his seat and let him do what he's doing, and keep an eye on him. It never even crossed my mind, as stupid as this could be, that the entire Muslim Brotherhood was here tonight in the first 5 rows for Islam.
At the post-fight press conference, Dana White took full responsibility for allowing the situation to escalate, shocking many observers. He admitted that his staff had warned him earlier about Danis's erratic behavior, how he was moving through the venue and encroaching on areas reserved for fighters and their teams. White revealed that his team had asked if Danis should be removed preemptively. White, perhaps underestimating the danger, decided to let him stay, reasoning that a paid attendee should be allowed to watch as long as he remained in his assigned seat. He later realized the error, noting he hadn't considered that a large group from Makhachev's circle was seated in the front rows, creating the perfect storm. White's colorful description of Makhachev's entourage as the entire Muslim Brotherhood.
And as soon as it broke out, I was over on the other side and I go, I know exactly what that is. I knew it. And, yeah, you will never see Dillon Danis at a UFC fight ever again.
The lifetime ban was declared with absolute finality. You will never see Dillon Danis at a UFC event again, White stated, making it clear this was permanent. No temporary suspension, no probation. This was complete exile from the UFC. When asked about pressing charges against anyone involved, White made his stance clear.
They called me from downstairs and they said, we got him down here. Do you want to press charges and have him arrested? And I said, no, we don't want to press charges. This is the fight business, man. You know how I feel about this, and I could have prevented this tonight, and I messed up.
To understand why this ban is such a devastating blow to Danis, we need to examine who he really is. Dillon Danis isn't just a provocateur. He's a legitimate Brazilian jiu-jitsu prodigy. Born in 1993 in New Jersey, Danis was drawn to martial arts after a teenage street altercation sparked his interest in BJJ. He committed fully, training under legendary coach Marcelo Garcia in New York City's competitive BJJ scene. Danis quickly rose through the ranks with a style focused on technical precision and aggressive submissions. His career has been defined as much by unfulfilled potential as by raw talent. Observers often note his exceptional skill, but also his occasional volatility outside the mats.
So before I went to Marcel's, it would be go sleep through school, or just look at stuff, and then go to train. And I would take every single jiu-jitsu class they had. Like literally, I would go to the gym at 4, do the 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and I wouldn't stay all day.
Really?
And then back then I didn't drive, so either my sister would drive me, or my mom, or my grandma, or guys. I actually had a really close friend at the gym that would he was a really cool guy, actually. He passed away, but he used to drive me and bring me back home.
Danis's dedication as a young athlete was extreme. He commuted daily from New Jersey to Manhattan after school to train at Marcelo Garcia's academy. He would wait hours between school and training, then return home late at night, only to repeat the routine the next day.
You leave high school, go right to the city.
Yeah, so I would take the train. So I think I would get out of school at like 2:30, and then I'd make the train at like 3:30. And I used to just be in the city by myself and just go train on Marcel's every day.
Did you ever feel like you had to force yourself to do it, or you wanted to do it?
Like training.
By his early 20s, Danis had already established himself as a multiple-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, winning titles at prestigious tournaments like the IBJJF and American NOG championships. His success opened doors to the broader world of mixed martial arts, and he made his professional MMA debut under the Bellator banner, securing quick submission victories that highlighted his elite ground game. However, Danis's MMA record remained sparse. He only fought twice professionally, both ending in armbar victories in 2019. Instead of building a consistent fighting resume, Danis shifted his focus toward high-profile associations that increased his visibility, most notably his friendship with Conor McGregor. Danis served as McGregor's grappling coach during some of UFC's biggest fights, including the build-up to the Mayweather boxing match. This connection elevated Danis's profile and immersed him in the spotlight of mega events, where sport, entertainment, and personal drama often blur. But outside the cage, Danis's behavior became controversial. He cultivated a reputation as a relentless provocateur, using social media to launch attacks that often targeted opponents' families, cultures, and beliefs.
Me and him, I was posting him drinking whiskey and like that, and he was like, and like one of his managers messaged me like, and I was like, this guy talking. And that whole fight, Khabib was going at me, Islam was going at me, and I kind of saw it kind of getting like that. You know, I never expected him to jump, but then he was pointing at me, and I went like that.
Danis's provocative behavior extended beyond MMA. In 2023, his exhibition match against Logan Paul was overshadowed by pre-fight antics, including harassing Paul's fiancée, Nina Agdal, by sharing personal information and old photos. Agdal later spoke about the emotional toll, yet Danis showed little remorse, instead using the incident to increase his notoriety. Critics argue that this pattern stems from his limited fighting credentials. While peers like McGregor back their words with titles, Danis relies on controversy to maintain relevance. His taunts leading up to UFC 322, daring rivals to confront him in New York, and posting explicit challenges fit this pattern perfectly. The lifetime ban from Dana White aligns with UFC precedent. Fighters like Paul Daly have been permanently banned for actions deemed irredeemable, such as attacking an opponent after a loss. At 32, Danis now sees his UFC dreams effectively dead. The ban not only prevents him from competing, but cuts him off from the promotion's inner circle, closing doors to contracts, sponsorships, and opportunities that UFC affiliation provides. The MMA world buzzed with reactions. The UFC 322 brawl and Danis's lifetime ban revealed a community divided culturally, philosophically, and in terms of acceptable behavior in modern MMA. Among those directly involved, Islam Makhachev's team showed no remorse. When asked about the incident post-fight, Makhachev's response was chillingly direct.
When you talk about someone like last 5 years you talk about someone, when you meet them, как будто ты должен отвечать за свои слова.
You have to answer what you said.
You have to answer what you said, And today, I don't think he answered, And he still say a lot of bad things about our team, and today he coming and somebody just meet him. He talk about this guy's bad, and today the guys just meet him. That's it.
Dana said he's banned from UFC events for life, so he'll never be back to one.
He have to ban from this country.
Think about that. The lightweight champion of the world, fresh off a dominant title defense, essentially suggested that Danis should be banned from the entire country. That illustrates how deep the bad blood runs. But perhaps the most explosive response came from Makhachev's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, who made it clear in an interview with TMZ Sports that the Dagestani camp considered this incident far from over. And what he said next is absolutely shocking.
This guy, listen, at the end of the day, we live in an internet world where people say a lot of things they don't hold accountable. But it was our group, listen, a couple of years ago, I have a problem with this guy too. And I slept him. And he said I didn't sleep him, I slept him. And everybody saw it, and it was 1,000 articles wrote about it. I'm not proud about it, but in a way, I think that's why so many kids getting bullied, because nobody can do nothing. You just get rated up. And I think people have to be held accountable. That's why you have to teach your kids how to fight, how to do martial art, to make him defend themselves. This guy is nothing but an internet coward. He's a nobody. He's a nobody. And in a way, when you talk about
Abdelaziz did not hold back, calling Danis an internet coward and a nobody, suggesting that the UFC 322 confrontation was only the beginning of consequences.
This is a warning for all these people who really talk. You cannot live this life behind a screen and a keyboard. When you're gonna meet the people we talk about, especially this group, they will hold you accountable.
Dana said that he is not allowed at any UFC events. Everything okay with your guys? I know some of them were removed.
Everything is good, brother. But I'm telling you, this guy is not safe as Whole Food, at an airport, at a terminal. And if people catch this guy, he's going to have problems. He's not done. These people not done with it.
Then, in perhaps the most menacing statement of all, Abdelaziz warned that Danis should expect ongoing repercussions, hinting at the long-term impact this incident would have on his reputation and career within combat sports. The Dagestani camp made it clear this was personal, and the story was far from finished.
For the rest of his life, he's not done. Him or Conor, they're not safe. Or they have to come out and say, you know what? We're sorry, we give up, we are done. And after that, you'll get mercy. But there's no mercy.
This wasn't just trash talk. It was a direct threat. Abdelaziz essentially stated that Danis wouldn't be safe in public, implying that members of the Dagestani community would be watching for him wherever he went. This marked an unprecedented escalation.
This guy got beat up by a security guard. He got beat up by Anthony Federer. I smacked him. Like he's a nobody, but who respects this guy? This guy is a nobody. He can't even go to UFC event anymore. And I'm telling you, some of you guys, media is also part of the problem because you guys interviewed this guy just for views. But this guy, he's never going to be a champion. He's never going to be relevant.
Abdelaziz even extended his warnings to Conor McGregor, suggesting that both Danis and his famous mentor should issue a public apology if they wanted the situation to end peacefully. Otherwise, according to Abdelaziz, there would be no mercy. When asked about Danis's claims that he could defeat Islam Makhachev, Abdelaziz dismissed them outright, responding with mockery and disbelief.
Just mental, it's, everybody seemed to know. I was not, this, Ariel. I was like 30 minutes later, I texted you, I was like, think something's out there happening with Dillon Danis there. And you're like, yeah, go on social media. It's pretty crazy. I'm with you in terms of play silly games, win silly prizes kind of situation.
Of course, there's years upon years upon years of trolling, Instagram story posts, tweets, interviews, stuff about him talking about them in very disrespectful ways to where you can't be shocked that any of this happened. And you had to have been, you had to have known that at some point this was going to happen in some way, shape, or form.
Meanwhile, Dillon Danis remained notably silent. As of November 18th, 2025, his social media showed no direct response to the ban or the incident, with his last post predating UFC 322. This silence is striking given his usual pattern of rapid, aggressive replies to perceived slights. Speculation ranges from shock to legal counsel urging caution or a strategic pause as he plans his next move.
He asked for it. Like, you talk all that, you asked for it. Do I condone that? No. Do I think it should have happened? No. But you had to have expected, you had to have known something like that could have happened.
However, Helwani and his co-hosts raised an important question.
This was a brawl between two camps, like to single out one guy as opposed to both sides and figure out what's going on, to me feels unjust. And
Can I tell you what it feels like to me? Can I tell you what it feels like? There's no repercussion to banning Dillon. Dillon is not tied to anyone anymore. Let's be honest, like him and Conor, they couldn't feel further apart. And even so, like, I don't think Conor's, what are you going to do? You're going to ban John Pork? You're going to ban Abu Bakr? Like, what are you going to do? There's repercussions to that, right?
The lack of consequences for Makhachev's team, despite their involvement in the melee, sparked accusations of bias. Some argued that this showed favoritism toward high-performing Dagestani stars, who contribute significantly to the UFC's global appeal and bring a massive following from Russia and neighboring regions. Fans erupted on social platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and Reddit, posting memes, clips, and heated debates. Many reveled in Danis' downfall, calling the brawl more entertaining than the main event, or labeling him a nightmare who got what he deserved. Videos of the fight amassed millions of views, dissected frame by frame.
like, he's not going to fight in the UFC, and I don't think he was to start. He's got this kind of like, he's fighting with Anthony Taylor and he's throwing coffee at KSI. He's fighting with Anthony Taylor. He is cultivating like this Stone Cold thing. Like, don't get me wrong. He's not Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he is cultivating this thing where it's like, he's a bad boy. He's banned. He's doing these things with, Logan Paul and his wife. Like, he kind of is doing this thing where he's outside the lines. He's coloring outside the lines. Now he's fighting in misfits.
22 Brawl highlights the tension between authentic rivalry and manufactured drama, and between cultural respect and promotional hype. For Dillon Danis, the lifetime ban marks a pivotal moment. At 32, with a sparse professional fighting record and now permanently barred from the world's premier MMA organization, his options are severely limited. His upcoming boxing exhibition may generate short-term buzz, as controversy often drives attention, but without the UFC's platform, his long-term relevance could quickly fade. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev continues to dominate, and the Dagestani fighters maintain their remarkable success streak. Dillon Danis will now be watching from the outside, forever banned from the octagon where he once dreamed of competing. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to MMA Drill Zone to watch more content like this.